What I'm about to share isn't something you can afford to ignore, and it has nothing to do with dishes left in the sink or arguments over trivial things. This is about the covert, almost invisible behaviors that silently drain your personal power and leave you questioning yourself without even realizing it. Behaviors that, if left unchecked, can completely compromise your apex presence. And you deserve to understand exactly what to look for so you never get trapped in this slow erosion of your confidence and control. Imagine waking up one day and noticing that you feel smaller, quieter, more hesitant to voice your opinions, that the energy you used to have is now spent on trying to predict someone else's reactions and tiptoe around their moods. And you don't even remember when this shift started, because the manipulation was subtle, masked as care, concern, love, or guidance. And that is precisely what makes it dangerous. And that is why I created this guide for the 5 psychological red flags that no one tells you about. The 5 signs that scream it's time for an apex exit if you spot them in your partner. And by the end of this video, you will not only be able to identify them, but also understand why each one threatens your high-status energy, your confidence, and your ability to operate as the fully empowered person you are meant to be. The first sign is the one most people recognize too late, the one that slowly undermines your reality, your memory, your sense of truth, and it is called gaslighting. And it is as insidious as it sounds, because the person doing it doesn't necessarily scream or throw objects. They don't need to. Their goal is far more sophisticated, far more subtle, far more damaging, because they make you question everything you know about yourself, every thought you have, every recollection, every instinct, and that self-doubt builds a cage around your personal power, preventing you from acting freely and confidently. And the real danger is that by the time you realize it, you've already lost a significant portion of your influence in the relationship, your ability to assert boundaries, and your capacity to make decisions without constant second-guessing. To give you a visual, imagine trying to hold a glass of water while someone keeps nudging it just slightly each time you blink, enough that you can feel the tilt, enough that your grip feels unsure, enough that you start questioning whether you ever knew how to hold a glass properly. And that is what gaslighting feels like emotionally, psychologically, and socially. And this is the first loop. You see the behavior, you start to understand the danger, and then I will take you deeper into the new context of how it escalates. Gaslighting doesn't operate alone. It often pairs with patterns of subtle criticism disguised as advice, the second red flag. And you might notice it as a casual comment that lands just wrong, a statement that is phrased as concern but carries a hidden jab, a moment that seems small at first but repeats over months, eroding your confidence so gradually that by the time you notice, the pattern feels like truth, like maybe you are too sensitive, like maybe you are overreacting, when in reality, you are being subtly manipulated, and your partner is asserting control without ever seeming overtly controlling, which makes it almost impossible to defend against, which brings us to the first reveal. Recognizing gaslighting and disguised criticism is not about catching them doing something wrong. It's about understanding the cumulative effect, the invisible erosion, and seeing the relationship for what it really is beneath the polite surface. Now that you understand the invisible undermining, it is crucial to notice the third red flag: isolation, a tactic used to shrink your world, to make you dependent, to reduce the checks and balances that friends, family, or colleagues provide. Because high-status partners expand your universe, they invite growth, encourage independence, and celebrate your connections, while low-status partners subtly work to contract it, often framing their actions as concern or exclusivity or love. And it works because we want to believe in the narrative that love equals protection, when in truth it should equal empowerment. And by the time you recognize that you are being cut off, your support network has weakened, your confidence has been chipped away, and you may even start rationalizing the isolation as normal, as deserved, as part of the relationship. And that is why the loop continues. Context of subtle undermining leads to the reveal that the partner is isolating you, which then creates a new context for the next behavior that often accompanies it: the emotional explosions or silent treatments, the fourth red flag. These are designed to keep you anxious, guessing, and compliant without overt coercion. One day, a minor mistake triggers a disproportionate reaction. The next, silence stretches hours or even days, and you start to live your life around the unpredictability of their moods, which is a textbook pattern of control, and each incident reinforces the sense that your power is dependent on their emotional state, which is the exact opposite of high-status, self-sovereign energy. The bigger reveal is that these emotional manipulations are rarely about the specific incident at hand. They are about conditioning you to tolerate instability and doubt your own instincts. So the next time someone crosses a line or pushes a boundary, you hesitate, you pause, you second-guess, and the cycle repeats. This loop sets up the fifth and final red flag: chronic disrespect for boundaries, which may manifest in financial overreach, social intrusions, emotional demands, or disregard for personal time. And the context here is crucial. Boundaries are the lines that define your personal power, the invisible walls that protect your apex presence. And when a partner repeatedly crosses them, ignores your expressed limits, or pressures you to compromise, it signals a complete lack of respect. And respect is the foundation of any relationship in which high-status individuals operate. Without it, influence, trust, and mutual growth cannot exist. The reveal here is direct. Any pattern of boundary violation is not minor. It is not an inconvenience. It is a sign that your personal power is being actively undermined, and the bigger context loops back to the first red flag, because the cumulative effect of gaslighting, disguised criticism, isolation, emotional explosions, and boundary violations creates a network of covert manipulation that leaves you questioning your own reality, your worth, and your freedom to act as a sovereign, high-status individual. And that is the core principle of this teaching. Recognize the patterns, understand the loops, and act decisively to maintain your apex presence. Once you have identified any of these red flags, it is imperative to understand the validation step. Seeing them for what they are, acknowledging the impact, and understanding that action is not just permissible, it is necessary. Recognizing even one of these behaviors means you are in a situation where your personal power, your confidence, and your ability to operate at peak psychological performance are at risk. The revelation is that leaving, disengaging, or setting firm boundaries is not betrayal. It is preservation. It is reclaiming your sovereignty. It is an apex exit, and it must be done strategically, with awareness, and with the understanding that manipulation often escalates when confronted, so preparation and clarity are critical, and this is where your own high-status psychology comes into play. Using body language, boundary enforcement, and calm assertiveness to exit the situation while preserving your dignity and minimizing escalation. The last piece of the puzzle is the long-term revelation. By studying these red flags, by learning to detect manipulation early, by understanding the subtle psychological patterns that lower-status partners employ, you are not just protecting yourself in this relationship. You are training yourself to recognize these patterns in any social, professional, or personal interaction, which compounds your power, sharpens your instincts, and ensures that your apex presence is maintained in all areas of life. And that is the ultimate goal, because personal power is not situational, it is habitual. And recognizing and responding to manipulation is the skill that allows you to operate at the highest levels consistently. In practical terms, this means observing behavior carefully, noting patterns over time, evaluating how your energy, mood, and confidence shift in their presence, and making decisions that align with your highest self, your goals, and your standards, and doing so without guilt, without overthinking, and without rationalizing toxic behavior. Because self-deception is the greatest threat to high-status psychology. And awareness paired with decisive action is the antidote, and that loops back to the original context. Every relationship you enter, every partner you choose, is a reflection of the standards you hold, and by maintaining vigilance for red flags, by valuing your boundaries and your psychological safety, you create an environment in which only high-status, respectful, and empowering connections are possible, and that in itself is the ultimate form of power. And so, as you digest this information, I want you to take a moment to reflect honestly. Are there behaviors in your relationship that match any of these 5 red flags? Are there moments where your confidence has dipped, your clarity has faltered, or your personal power has been quietly eroded? If so, it is not weakness, it is awareness. It is the first step toward reclaiming control, toward making choices that preserve your sovereignty, toward executing your apex exit if necessary. And by doing this consistently, you signal to yourself and everyone in your life that your boundaries are non-negotiable. Your energy is sacred, and your presence commands respect, which is the cornerstone of high-status psychology, body language mastery, and NLP awareness. And that is exactly why your understanding of these 5 red flags is not just academic. It is practical, it is actionable, and it is essential. Remember, gaslighting, disguised criticism, isolation, emotional volatility, and boundary violations are patterns that operate in loops, escalating subtly over time, and your ability to detect and disrupt these loops determines whether you remain empowered or become trapped in a cycle of manipulation. The ultimate revelation is that knowledge itself is power, but only when applied decisively, and your apex presence depends not on fear, guilt, or hesitation, but on clarity, courage, and strategic action. That is why this channel exists, to give you insight into the hidden mechanics of manipulation, to teach you to read body language and NLP signals, and to empower you to maintain high-status energy in every interaction, because without this mastery, you are operating at a deficit in a world where psychological acuity is the ultimate advantage. With it, you create freedom, influence, and a magnetic presence that attracts respect, loyalty, and meaningful connection. And that is the larger loop. Awareness to recognition to action to power amplified to consistent high-status presence to deeper awareness to continued refinement. So take this knowledge, internalize it, apply it rigorously. Reflect on every interaction, notice the subtle manipulations, and if even one of these 5 red flags appears in your relationships, act decisively to preserve your energy, your confidence, and your apex presence. Know that by mastering these principles, you are not only safeguarding yourself, but also becoming the type of individual that attracts partners, friends, and colleagues who operate at your level, who respect your boundaries, and who enhance your life rather than diminish it. And that, in the end, is the true measure of high-status psychology, the ability to see clearly, act decisively, and maintain unwavering personal power in every context.